Going for me. What are your thoughts? I agree. I think family vloggers are toxic. I think, I don't know. I think it's child exploitation. Absolutely. I think parents are exploiting their kids for clicks and views, monetary gain. They do ads on Instagram for money, and there's no way to say that any of that money is going away to those kids for when they're adults. I think it's very dangerous, and I hope that laws catch up with the times and do something about it. Someone said, every time I see a family blogging channel like that, I honestly feel bad for the kids. Not only about their entire lives being overshared, but what if one day they realize about the oversharing and start to wonder if mom and dad had them because they truly wanted another kid or because they needed one for the money and followers? Can you imagine? And at least with child actors, there's some laws in place, and Coogan's Law, and restrictions on how many hours they can work a day, that they have to be tutored. Family bloggers, they can homeschool their kids without any curriculum, basically. They can have their camera in the kids' face 24/7. And I think it would cause, I don't know, maybe identity issues for the kid at one point. It's like, I don't know, if they're on for the camera, I think it'd be extremely confusing for them. I don't think it's healthy. I watched the Dad Challenge podcast, and he's all for ending family vlogging, child exploitation, and I think it's a good message. It's just I think it's sick how these people can put some of their kids' most personal things on the internet, like shopping for their first bra, them getting their first period and talking about it. I just think it's toxic, and you don't know who's watching your kid. There could be so many predators that are watching, and just, it's sick. And also recently, within the past few days, I listened to this podcast called Under the Influence about mommy influencers, and it's really eye-opening. I highly suggest it. I listened to it on Spotify. It's a really good listen. It makes you really think. And anyway, I think that's about it. I hope you guys enjoyed these Reddit stories. I just got over COVID. I'm still not feeling up to par, but you know, it's kind of how it goes. I think I'm gonna take a nap after this. I hope everyone is having a great day, night, morning, wherever you are. And if you like these, let me know. Let me know your takes on these in the comments, because I love hearing other people's thoughts. Sometimes it's just, I find some of these stories and my mind is blown. Reddit is just hours of endless entertainment in a way. It's crazy. But anyway, guys, I hope you have a good one. And as always, don't be an asshole. Bye. Hey guys, I'm back with more of Reddit's Am I the Asshole? The best of Reddit, Reddit marriage, all the good stuff. I figured I would use the microphone because my son, he just turned 2 and likes to throw tantrums. Him and my other son are with my husband. He's taking care of them. This is my time, but if you hear a little tantrum. I'm sorry, but trying to make the best of it. So I am going to read some Reddit stories that some of them are just insane. Let's see. There's this one where that was my dog, if you heard him. Okay, this one's pretty, I don't know, it's pretty bad. So it's, am I the asshole for asking my girlfriend to reduce the animal count? We're together for 12 years. We have a 1-month-old baby and we're full of animals. We have 4 bathrooms and 3 of them are occupied with animals. One of the bathrooms is owned by a bunny, the second is owned by 3 cats, and the third by another pair of cats. In our basement, we have 6 puppies, 2 months old, that were born to a stray dog that my girlfriend took around a year ago. Our ceiling, top floor, is completely occupied by another 3 cats. In our living room is the place where our chihuahuas live. She never takes them out, so every single morning I wake up, the floor is full of shit and pee. On the stairs between the first and the second floor, there's a bunny, which is in a big cage, I'd say. Every single animal room is getting completely destroyed by poop and pee, and we're on rent, so I'm super worried if any case the landlord asks to come around. Outside of the house, the stray dog lives in the garage and it's closed. It poops and pees there. There is unclean poop and pee from about 2 weeks ago. We also have 6 Japanese Akitas, for which I bought a separate house so my mom can take care of them because I no longer can walk them and give them the proper love. Since I found out my girlfriend is pregnant, I have started working at 2 jobs. I have hired a cleaner and I'm away for 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. I realize that I could be helping more with the baby, but that's what the situation requires. Recently, I tried to convince her to reduce the cats, remove the bunnies, remove the stray dog, and give out the puppies from the basement, but she simply refuses. I'm okay if we keep 4 of the chihuahuas because she really loves them, but I can't take any more of the shit and poo smell around the house anymore. I'm scared that our daughter passes the 6-month mark and starts moving around. She'll be full of shit and poop, or just be restricted into a single room. Last but not least, I'd like to have about 2 or 3 more children, and I just can't imagine them living in that kind of situation. In a recent conflict, I decided I can no longer allow this and said that it's up to her to decide if she wants to live with me and our daughter, or rather have all the animals for whom she doesn't take care of. Am I a total asshole for giving her such an ultimatum? And then he puts an edit and he puts a picture of one of the floors, like the top floor, and it's really disgusting. When I heard that, I automatically thought animal hoarder, just someone that collects animals. And in their mind, they're thinking they're giving the animal a really good life. But in reality, it's animal cruelty. I think it would be animal abuse, in my opinion. But what worries me is there's a 1-month-old baby in there. And with all the animal feces, I can't. That would scare me. I think of toxoplasmosis right away, which comes from mostly cat feces. Because when you're pregnant, you're not supposed to clean the litter box or anything like that because there's a chance you can get it and then spread it to the baby. And it's just, I don't know. I think in a lot of ways, maybe he worked a lot so he wouldn't have to be home and be around her. I mean, being in that environment has to be depressing. I couldn't imagine being full of animal filth. It would be, I don't know. And second of all, I would be afraid of CPS coming and taking away my baby. I would try to rehome the animals and, I don't know, just clean the hell out of that place. But I'm gonna start reading some comments. Not the asshole. CPS will take your baby away and put her in foster care for being in a living situation like that. And I agree, because it's dangerous to her. And someone said exactly, but also, how did OP let it get this far? I was wondering the same thing. Was he not disgusted to live in an environment like this until now? He also holds some responsibility in letting his household become like that and for mistreating these animals. I think someone actually did the math on here, and they have close to 30 animals. 30. And for him to get a whole nother house for the 6 AITAs, I don't get it. Let's see. It makes me really sad. He does answer some of the comments. I'm going to read some of his comments. He was actually taking a lot of people's advice and criticism, and was actually like not lashing out or anything. He was taking it pretty well. So let's see. He says she threatens to leave the baby if I remove any of them. Well, the baby should be removed from an environment like that. Then he says she doesn't want to rehome them. She wants to keep them, but sadly doesn't take care of them. Then he says, I live in Eastern Europe. A small house in a village here is around 40K European. We're living in the capital, so we have to rent. Can't afford to buy where we live at currently. Then he said, by ceiling, I meant top floor. Sorry, English is not my native language. And then he said she bought 2 AITAs, which had puppies, and she kept all the puppies. And any conflicts we had, she always insisted I can leave if I don't like it. Don't get me wrong, I'm completely to blame for that. I just failed to realize how shit the situation is. I don't know, I think he is kind of in denial on how bad his girlfriend was about animals. Okay, someone put, you're the asshole for getting a baby in this situation and environment. You're the asshole for enabling animal abuse. You're the asshole for contributing to animal abuse. You let the animals shit and piss everywhere and let them be imprisoned in tiny rooms. You're the asshole for asking her to have less animals. What you need to do is either get rid of the animals and fix the situation, go to the authorities, or both. How in the world do you leave her and you capable of taking care of a baby when none of you have managed to take care of animals without letting it spiral this much out of control? It's dangerous and horrible to both of you, the kid and the animals. And I agree. And a lot of people are trying to convince him to leave her and get custody of the child, which I don't think is really fair, because he's throwing her under the bus then when he helped enable the situation. That's what I don't think is fair at all. Okay, this one is a long one and it has an update. This one was, I don't know, it's bad. I have had enough of my stepdaughter, so I moved back to my parents with my son. I'm also 8 weeks pregnant and I don't know what to do, plus an update. And this is under relationship advice. This one has a lot of, I don't know, good, just different stories. So it starts by, hi everyone. I don't know if this is even ethical because it's about a minor. I will keep it anonymous and hope for the best. I'm at the end of my tether here, and I feel paralyzed and in desperate need of advice. I, female 38, met my husband, male 44, about 4 years ago. I'm 8 weeks pregnant, only husband I know. I have a son, male 8, with my boyfriend who passed away in a car accident before my son was born. My husband has a daughter, female 13, SD for stepdaughter from a previous marriage. SD lives with us every other week. When we got married, ex-wife tried everything to get full custody of SD and failed. But it was made very clear to me by SD, ex-wife, and husband that I am not her mother and I am not allowed to participate in raising her. SD basically ignored me and my son on our weeks. It wasn't perfect, but it wasn't hurting anyone directly. My son learned very early not to cross SD and kept to himself when she was around. I suspected ex-wife behind SD's coldness towards me and thought this must be hard for SD with all these changes. I tried to befriend her over the years, but she wasn't having it. It got worse when ex-wife remarried and got pregnant with twins 2 years ago. She started ignoring SD, trying to get my husband to have her more. We happily obliged, and basically stopped being a mother to her. It didn't help either that the new husband didn't like SD and wasn't shy about not wanting to raise another man's daughter. I asked my husband if we could take SD full-time and try to raise her because I saw that her mental health was deteriorating and that she needed stability. The ex-wife blatantly refused this suggestion, so we continued with this every other week. The twins were born about a year ago, and all went downhill from there. It seemed like the worse SD had it at her mom's, the more she hated me and my son. She would throw fits a couple times every time she's with us, break our stuff, call me a bitch if I tried to tell her off. It's her house because her father bought it, and we're just guests. She would yell at my son, and she even hit him a couple times, telling him to keep to his room if he didn't like her treatment of him. When I told her not to put her hand on my son, she told me, "What are you going to do about it?" My son grew fearful of her and would ask me to take him to Grandpa, late boyfriend's father, when she's living with us. I talked to my husband about it. I told him SD needed professional help because she's not feeling well and she's making us miserable when she's around. So she started to go to therapy, 6 months now. Other than that, my husband didn't know what to do either. If he tried to talk to her about being nice to us, she played innocent and told him she was playing around and hugged and kissed my son in front of me. And if she tried to be stern, she threw a tantrum and accused him of loving my son more than her. 3 months ago, my son's grandpa passed away. This hit my son and me very hard. My son was inconsolable for many weeks and couldn't really understand what it meant that he couldn't see Grandpa again. Grandpa was a carpenter, so was my late boyfriend. So since very young age, my son loved hanging with him in the garage, working. Many times when he's there, he came home with something they made together, butter knives, boxes, chessboards, and for my 38th birthday last summer, I got a stool that my son designed himself and built with his grandpa, and then painted. This was the last project they had together since Grandpa passed away a few weeks later, so the stool was priceless to us. We had it in the kitchen. SD made a lot of negative remarks about the stool, how ugly and poorly made it was. She laughed at my son's poor taste, and he was very distraught. This was the first time, however, that my husband got very angry at her and asked her to go to her room. She was so scared of his reaction that she went without any protest. This Christmas, SD was supposed to be with her mother. On Christmas Eve, her mother dropped her off at our house very early in the morning. Her new husband had decided he didn't want her to go with them to his parents' house, where they usually spend Christmas. SD was on the verge of tears, standing there listening to her mother making excuses to my husband and me. My husband hugged SD the whole time, and I tried to fight away my tears. After her mom left, she went upstairs to her room to sleep. I also went to sleep since we usually don't wake up this early on holidays. My husband went to the gym, and later he was going to the train station to pick my parents, who were going to celebrate Christmas with us. Around 10 a.m., I heard my son screaming and crying downstairs. I ran down in horror. SD had decided to break the stool my son had built with his grandpa. She was trying to shove it in the fireplace. And when she saw me, she smirked and said she didn't want ugly furniture in her house. I pulled away and I told her to go to her room and try to get the pieces of wood out of the fireplace. That's when she threw a scalding hot liquid in my face. It was hot cocoa. I yelled in pain and my son started panicking, so I ran to him to tell him that I was fine. SD stood there laughing. I took my son upstairs and went back to her. I grabbed her hard in her arm and started pulling, pushing and dragging her up to her room and locked the door. Husband came home with my parents moments later. My mom took me to the emergency room, and my son insisted on coming with me. I had second-degree burn on my cheek and neck. When I went home, my husband was so mad at me for assaulting SD by using force to get her to her room. He told me I should have had compassion, knowing how hurt she was by her mother's abandonment. I told him that I have had enough of this. I am living a nightmare half of my life, having to go on eggshells in my own home whenever she's around. My son is a prisoner in his own room when she's living with us, too terrified to cross a boundary of hers. I told him that I didn't know how to handle this and that it wasn't a mistake from the beginning, that I wasn't allowed to be a parental figure in her life with authority. He disagreed and told me that she has a kind heart and needed patience, but the thing is, I don't think she does. She targeted my son's handiwork, fully aware of its sentimental value, and my face because she always hated the fact that my husband thinks I'm beautiful and is open with complimenting my eyes and smile. I didn't stay there for Christmas. I took my son and parents and went to my parents' home where I live now. My husband is in panic mode. He's been texting and calling me all the time, trying to get me to move back and work things out. SD even texted, apologizing. He probably made her. But I don't know what to do. I love him so much, but I'm ashamed to say that I hate that girl. My son starts hyperventilating at the thought of living with her again. And what about my unborn baby? I feel sick of the thought of having half custody and being at the mercy of his half-sister when it's my husband's week. This thought makes me want to have an abortion. Please tell me if there's any other solution to this hell I'm living. I think that is insane. I don't know how that girl gets away with that. I don't know if the dad has blinders on. I don't know. I don't blame her. I couldn't imagine living like that. And the fact that she threw scalding hot cocoa in her face, that she's violent. She doesn't mind ruining their belongings. It's just, wow, if I acted like that, there's no way I'd even attempt to act like that. But anyway, here's the update. Hi everyone, I hope you enjoyed the holidays. I'm overwhelmed with the support I received from you. It helped a lot. I was literally losing my mind and wasn't sure if it was wise of me to take these drastic measures. I'm sorry I didn't make an update. I just didn't think I had anything to add, plus these last weeks have been so hard. But I came here now to tell you that I've moved on with my plans. It's just hard for me to talk about it since it was a planned pregnancy, and both soon-to-be ex and me were longing for him or her. It was also hard to see my soon-to-be ex broken over my decision. He thinks I have acted so fast and can't fathom how I could just throw away our life together so fast. I think he doesn't realize the severity of SD's actions. He even had her with him when he visited me at my parents' house the first time. He wanted us to have a sit down. When I saw her in the car, I immediately told him to drive back. He was shocked, however, when he saw the dark scars on my face. They'll fade away with time, according to the doctor. I can't help but blame myself, though. It's my fault that he thought that this was a sudden decision. Had I been more honest and open with him, he would have known this was hurting me and my boy for months now, years really. This blame will lie with me and me alone. I thought by keeping my mouth shut, I would minimize the damage. How wrong I was. SD is living with her grandparents full time now, and I think it's going to be a permanent thing. Her stepdad is adamant about not having her around his children. I think this is so messed up on so many levels, but I don't know if I have a say in this. It's her parents' call, even if I think it's a grievous mistake, and I can't say that I care either. My boy is doing better. He loves living with my parents. He knows he will have to change schools, and he's so scared about it, but he still thinks it's great that we moved. We started therapy. In one session, the therapist tried to explain to him how SD is not feeling well and that she needed help. He got upset and told the therapist he didn't agree with her. He told her SD isn't the only one hurting. Many kids have bad parents, and that he never knew his father and lost people he loved, but he still wasn't mean to his family. I cried for days after this. I am so sorry for what I put him through. I just want to spend the rest of my life making it up to him, my beautiful baby. With Omicron, we're back to working from home, so it really doesn't matter that I live 5 hours from work. I work in a bank and have talked to my boss. She'll help me reapply to a nearer office. I think I have covered everything. If anything major happens, I will make a new update. Thank you again for the support. You helped more than you can imagine. Ciao. Edit, we have rebuilt the stool. We couldn't make it perfect, and we had to patch it in many places and repaint it, but we love it. And then some explanation from OP. I'm sorry I haven't been able to answer all your questions. I wrote my update very late and went to sleep. When I woke up, it was locked. I will try to answer some here. Soon-to-be ex and his ex got divorced because the ex cheated on him. Her relationship with the AP didn't last, and AP left her when they got busted. This happened way before soon-to-be ex and I met. From the resentment came from soon-to-be ex moving on. From what I understood, soon-to-be ex and his ex were planning to give the relationship a second chance right before I met him, and he allegedly changed his mind. He blatantly denies this, but I've heard it from his ex and even SD. I know it's harsh on the stepdad simply because I don't think him to be a good human being. His reluctance towards SD started way before the twins and even before they got married. He made it clear he would have preferred it if SD didn't live with them. He even tried not to have her at their wedding. But after the incident, I don't blame him. Even though I know he was happy, he got a reason to get rid of her now. The problem is SD loves him and the twins. She never speaks ill about him and always praises him. When she felt hurt by them, her hatred for me increased instead. I don't know how to explain it, but I kind of understood her. My soon-to-be ex isn't an evil man. He's probably a bad parent, but I don't think he's malicious. He knew his daughter was hurting, and his solution was to spoil her when she stayed with us. It didn't help either that SD saw the way he loved my son and treated him well. She always accused him of favoritism, and that drove him to spoil her even more to prove that she's his first priority. A vicious cycle. On the morning of Christmas Eve, when SD was dumped at our doorstep, SB cried after she went to bed and felt hopeless. I think that's why he couldn't understand the severity of what she did. She had bruises from where I dragged her to her room. Getting mad would probably have been my first reaction if I didn't know the full story. My child was bruised by an adult. I'm not trying to defend him. I'm trying to understand why he reacted like he did. About SD moving with her grandparents, I think soon-to-be ex, even though he doesn't want to admit it, is repulsed by her right now. It's so sickening, but I don't think he can help it. He feels terrible about the termination, and he's on sick leave now. This is so hard for me to write, but I think this is the brutal truth. I have promised myself not to get involved or utter an opinion about this matter to him or anybody else. She's not my responsibility, and maybe it's for the best because her grandparents are decent people. Even though I don't know, more feelings of abandonment is what SD needs. I don't think she's a psychopath. She has feelings, and a lot of them, especially rage. I don't think she's faking her rage. It feels very genuine. Many accuse me of being a bad mom who only reacted when I personally was assaulted. I will have to live with this guilt and make it up to my boy for the rest of my life. These few weeks have been so dark. I keep thinking that she could have hurt my son with the hot drink instead of me, and I wouldn't have the time to prevent it because it went so fast. I can't help beating myself up about it and probably deserve it. My only defense is that her violence escalated very quickly, and after the twins were born. Before that, I deemed the situation to be manageable. I was wrong, and I'm so sorry I let it go for so long. I don't feel well. The termination was so hard on me because I loved and wanted the baby. This has nothing to do with my political views or beliefs. I don't live in the U.S. or any other religious country. Where I live, abortion is a basic human right and not a political view. It was hard for me because I have longed for a baby. Please stop abusing me in the chat, calling me a murderer and whatnot, for at least do it here and not hide in the private chat. I'm going to live with my parents for a while, even after we settle the economy and separate our finances. I feel like it's good for us at the moment. My son is so happy with them. Even if he misses soon-to-be ex, he knows if he chose soon-to-be ex, it meant SD too. And he's trying to adjust to a life without his dad. We're getting a dog. He has always wanted one, but couldn't because SD is allergic. I hope I answered all your questions, and thank you again for the support. This one broke my heart. I couldn't imagine. And I will read some comments. One of them, I'd like to hear more about why SD is with her grandparents rather than her father. All we have is conjecture, understandable that we won't get an answer if OOP has completely broken it off with him, which it sounds like she has, and certainly for the best. Let's see. The minute I got to the part where she wasn't allowed to be a mother figure to the stepdaughter and her bio mom basically left her high and dry, I knew it was going to go downhill from there. Glad they got out of that situation. That's really crummy. That's exactly what I thought. If they told the stepmom that she has no way to discipline the child, I don't think that's right. That she basically can get walked on. That's so disrespectful. Someone wrote, the stepdaughter needs major help. Her behavior is so malicious, even as a hurt kid. I think the OP did the best she could, and it's really her ex-husband and his ex-wife's fault for not stepping up for their daughter. It just sucks all around, but I'm glad OP's son isn't being abused anymore, and that she got an abortion. Clean break. Someone said having to make that decision must have been heartbreaking, but I'm glad she did. That baby would have never been safe. I agree. Even though she loves her mom's twins and her stepdad, I think because it's her stepmom's baby, I think she would resent the hell out of that child. and I wouldn't put it past her to hurt that baby. Too bad it couldn't have a better outcome, but I honestly think the OP did the best she could. Someone said she gave up the wanted baby to save it from a life of abuse from the sibling. Once that baby was here, no court is going to demand that their visitations happen separately. And with the dad so utterly clueless and still defending the little psychopath, he's not going to even think this little angel would dare hurt the baby. OP saved that baby from eventual harm. She did the right thing. Okay, I think I'm going to do one more story. Okay, this one's from Beyond the Bump, which is new parents. It's a discussion. New mom here. I've been curiously following some mom influencers, and I'm astounded at 1, the level of toxic positivity prevalent on the internet, 2, how much they share of their kids' lives, all of the children smiling perfectly all the time for the camera. How is that healthy for them? I'm all for sharing the occasional picture of my son on social media, but I'm curious how constantly having to be on for mommy's gram will affect them in the long term. I feel bad that these kids essentially have no privacy. It dawned on me that I am some stranger across the country who knows what they had for breakfast, what the inside of their bedroom looks like, etc. It's just weird. No more